How's it going, YouTube? We're back with another match. This is from the Pro Play Games local tournament. In this match, we're playing my MagnaGaruru deck. You might have seen this one in the Digimon Showdown. And my opponent's going to be Anthony from Miami Misplays. He's playing the Cherubimon. I believe he's also using a purple base. Anthony, I think, is one of the best players that we have. He's one of those guys that's been playing purple since back when the game first came out, which feels like years ago at this point. So I have a lot of respect for Anthony, and he's one of the players that I definitely do not mind losing to. But let's see how this goes. So we have rookie opener into Boko, which I think is pretty solid. Great start. Of course, Boko as well. Boko just really fantastic card this meta, being able to give you tamers and hybrids and then refund memory. He just does so much for the hybrid decks, so it's not surprised that most hybrid decks are running it. The purple Kari is really annoying. As a deck that's pretty aggressive, you have to be swinging, and the Kari is going to be giving him a lot of memory. But I like the Kumamon here. We get the draw of the Upa, and on deletion we could play a Koji if I had one, which I guess we did not. We see Luisthepanda being checked in security. So one of the things about the purple base Cherubi is that even though it's purple base, it doesn't mean that you can't run yellow rookies. You still definitely can. So Luisthepanda being a pretty good rookie to get back from Cherubimon. And Bushiagumon is another option as well. So this is just, a bit of setup. We're getting chip damage. The way that the Magna deck operates is that, we don't have this big OTK turn. So we definitely rely on our rookies to get some chip damage. And then we finish off with some sort of Magna combo, hybrid shenanigans and whatnot. Davis being checked is insanely good. There could not be a better security check for me there. So definitely pretty happy about that. But double Pokemon coming out. And one of the things about the blue deck is that, we definitely can answer rookies. We can bounce them back with Beowulf and things like that. But if I don't have like a straight Beowulf, the double Pokemons could get out of control. So definitely still kind of scary. Even though I'm not in a bad spot at all, right? Like we got Davis checked, we got 2 bodies. He's already down to 4 security. That said though, the 2 Bokos there, they do kind of scare me. Also, Electron survived as well, right? So it's like, let's say I just ignore his board this turn and we just go face, keep more aggression. I definitely don't have game this turn, not even close. And if I ignore him, then he has, 3 attacks for sure on the board. And he's going to have the memory for double hybrid, right? So in this case, we also have to deal with at least some of his board. He gets, again, the memory from the Kari, making it very annoying for me. And pick up another Koichi. So yeah, we essentially are kind of forced to use our Davis. You generally don't want to be digivolving over your memory tamer like this. But in this case, like we have to do something. We have the Pokemon to take advantage of it. And yeah, losing the Davis sucks, but at least we get to do something. And Beowulf is one of the ways that I was talking about, that we can answer some of these rookies. At least bounce one of the Bokos, but we hit into another tamer, so it's just a lot of tamers in security. I mean, I got Davis, but he's getting the Kari and the Koichi. And honestly, the Kari there kind of messes up my turn as well, because at this point I might have just chosen to like go full aggressive and like try and give him as little as possible. But now that he checks the Kari, it's like if I swing with the Boko, we have to pass over 1 more memory, and it's just that much scarier to deal with. So it's a tough turn here from this position. It's not really clear what the best answer is. Even though he only has a couple of rookies, he's got so many tamers. We just go with a Sora Joe. I think the idea here is that like we'll definitely should survive another turn. And if I can't deal with the Pokemon, then we'll at least get extra memory for it. And having an extra Sora Joe would be great for us to, still have a tamer to work with. Though that was a tough turn, I think we're not in a terrible state. We pushed a good amount of damage, and we have rookie, in hiding. The Electron they're trading 2 for 1 though is pretty good. I like the Electron for the purple base. It's a pretty strong ability, like being able to destroy rookie on deletion. Like every rookie or every color has such good, strong rookies. I mean, everybody's playing Pokemon, but aside from that, there's like the memory chokers or just other like generically good ones. Now with the Pokemon, he gets to go crazy. Gets, free memory, retaliation, gets even more memory. Just like that, he's fully cleared my board, and now we're not in a great spot. Like, yes, he is going to pass me over Sora and Joe memory, but at this point, it definitely feels like it's Anthony's game here. Yeah, double Kari, kind of rough. And we dealt with the Pokemon, but in some cases you answer Pokemon and it's fine because your opponent has to spend the tempo loss, through memory just to get it on play again. But because he already had another Pokemon, he was able to spend the 3, but then, gain memory from Digivolve into the hybrid, so definitely worked out for him. And I think he's just gonna try and memory choke me, give me as little memory to work with as possible. It's this card, we get the extra memory. So with only one tamer, we cannot go for game here. And this is also a bit of a struggle because usually you might want to be like, okay, we'll just chip, maybe try and answer a Boko, Ice Wall or something like that. But again, because of double Kari, every swing is gonna cost me 2 extra memory, and we had to spend our Davis early on. So we just don't have a ton of memory to work with. The Pokemon here, the idea is that, it is going to give me that extra memory that I need to work with, so I can potentially close the game out. We also pick up a Koji and a Beowulf. Pretty solid. We were also able to go into the Kuma in the back, and I believe that's the BT6 Stravi that, when attacking, we're going to get 1 more memory. So this turn was just a setup turn for me, right? I cannot win this turn, so let me put myself in the best position so that in the following turn we can close the game out. And in this case, that meant just ensuring that I have access to extra memory coming from the Stravi and potentially the Boko as well. But again, Anthony, he's got a lot of memory to work with, a lot of resources, a lot of tamers. And the Cherubi there is pretty good. Answering the Pokemon is, obviously good. It makes my turn a lot worse. We lose the body, I lose the extra memory. But also Cherubi at this stage is just setting up, for the game to be over. You can see he's got 50 tamers. Cherubi's 12k. I don't think he has any Wushi-Agumons in the trash, but at this point it's not really gonna matter, right? If he gets a turn with that Cherubi, that's probably gonna be it. So at this point I'm thinking is there anything we could do? Any play that's gonna keep me alive, right? We need to get that Cherubimon out of there. And I don't currently have great setups to do so. We're gonna swing to get the memory, but then I lose 2 because of the level Kari. Again, Kari's been a very strong tamer. Checking to another tamer, so I believe we've given him 3 tamers in security this game. At this stage in the game, it doesn't actually matter because he already had so many tamers and the mat anyway. But still, it'd be like that sometimes. You hit into his hybrid decks and it's just nothing but tamers and tamers. So we're going to the Sorjo. Strip the Source. We can go for 1 more swing, but we still need 1 more. The Beowulf can at least bounce one of the bodies. Deathclaw, goodbye Kumamon. And we're just 1 attack shy, right? The aggression was there, but it really does feel like the double Kari slowed me down, making my turn super awkward. I see a lot of the purple Cherubimon. I personally am a fan of the 2-cost Mimi, because it's really good. It only costs 2, and you get I know your opponent when they play options. But that being said, purple Kari is amazing. As someone who played Mastamon since BT3, as soon as Kari came out, she instantly went into the deck, and every time she just puts in so much work. You're always going to be taking security damage, right? Especially in a deck like Cherubimon or Mastamon, where it could serve an additional purpose. Obviously here it could be Digivolved as turned into a hybrid. So purple Kari, very, very strong. Going to the Magna, I could restand to try and save myself. I think the thought process here is that, hey, if he can't kill me, he shouldn't have a good way to answer the Magna, as the purple deck just doesn't have great ways to answer level 7s that are unsuspended. Funny enough, because they don't play Trump Sword, he can't retaliation it, and the option only clears 5 or less, right? And the idea is that with Magna we could swing, and even if he healed with a Lucemon, I could then go into a Blitz Omni, or restand Magna another way to close the game out. So the reasoning for the Magna was that it's just give me the best chance to win the game next turn. But with all these tamers set up, we'll see what Anthony could do with the Cherubimon. He's got Analog Boy, so gonna get extra memory. Still has the Boko as well. He might just have enough attacks anyway. At this point it gets pretty tough. One of the things about the Cherubimon is that even if you don't have Wushi-Agumons in your trash, if you delete Cherubimon and you bring back Pokemon, then you're getting essentially free hybrids, right? Because Pokemon's gonna give you the memory to go into another hybrid. And at this stage of the game, he definitely has enough tamers. Got a lot of memory to work with. Gonna go into, I think it's just a matter of like swing at this point for him. We could hope that there's something in my security. We do run Hammer Sparks, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. Although I like this play. So he could have just like all out swung there and then see what happens. But the Rebellion is not something that I expected. And it's a fantastic answer to my board state. Because my win the game, you know, required Magna to swing and survive in one way or another, which it likely would have. But Rebellion puts me to 1. It ensures that Magna cannot survive. And with 1 memory, no other tamers, no Digimon in the race, and it really gives him nothing to do. And it passes the turn to him, where now he's got 3 memory to work with. He still has a bunch of bodies, tamers, and hybrids. And now he'll definitely win, because this turn, if there is a Hammer Spark, it shouldn't influence the outcome of the game. So very well played from Anthony. I did not expect the Rebellion. It was a great way to memory choke me. And you can see why, you know, having to Digivolve over the Davis in the early game was actually so tough. Like, yeah, it was good that turn. It allowed me to make a play. But losing the guaranteed through memory for the rest of the game is actually, it hurts so much. So Anthony takes purple game 1 with Cherubimon. And in this case, this is before DigiFest. So the locals, you know, were practicing with the side deck. I signed in 2 EX1 MagnaGarurumons. If you guys don't know what this guy does, he's the so he says when you Digivolve, for every 4 cards in your hand, you gain a memory, and then when attacking, if you have a tamer, you can return a Digimon with on deletion to the bottom of the opponent's deck. This is the only card that I signed in for Cherubimon, and I put it inside deck specifically to deal with Cherubimon. I think the Cherubimon deck is really popular these days. It's, you know, winning a lot online. People are hyping it up, the Church of Cherubi and whatnot. And a friend of mine suggested that we should try the metal, because it sounds good on paper, right? Like you can go Beowulf for 1. Then go into the metal for potentially 2, and then you swing at security, and you bounce their Cherubi to the bottom of the deck, right? Seems like a great way to answer it, really the best way that we could answer it. Most of the times they go into a Cherubi passing turn, and they won't be able to proc it right away. And if we are able to not delete Cherubi but answer it, you know, they're not going to get the like refunds on the tamers, not going to get the rickets or anything like that. So it seems like a good idea. What I will say though is that side decking is tough. For me, it's something that I'm still figuring out. I'm not sure exactly like what I should be siding, but perhaps the hardest part for me is knowing what you side out. Because like you want, if you build your deck right, like every card is worth a slot and it's doing something, right? So sure, there's some cards that in some matchups you won't need, but for the most part, I feel like you kind of want everything. At least the way I build my deck, so it makes it hard to know like what I should take out. So I believe in this case I'm cutting like 1 Pokemon because we already played 4, so I figure like, okay, 3 Boko is doable. Obviously it kind of hurts, and then I think we take out 1 memory boost. But it's still a work in progress. I'm still trying to figure it out. It is tough. It's one of the things about this game. It's like, would you rather make your deck stronger, more consistent, or would you rather slow your opponent down, for example? Like in this tournament, there's a lot of blue hybrid players, and like I'm playing a deck where I'm playing all the Stravies, blue memory boost, trying to be hyper consistent at, you know, what my deck's trying to do. And there's a lot of players that are just playing like Madoka Betamons, Clams, these cards that don't advance your strategy, but they slow your opponent down, right? But there has to be a back and forth, right? Like you still, like I value my Cherubimons because they let me play the game, and I value that more than slowing my opponent down. Not to say that Madoka Betamon or the Clam are bad, and they obviously are good cards, right? But just something to think about. Okay, so once again, you can see that we're getting chip damage of the rookie. Again, this is always how we're going to do this. The MagnaGaruru is checked, and we probably talk about it there. I'm like, yeah, I sat that in for you. But he gets sent to the bottom of the deck. It's not going to matter. We're just playing double Strabi to search for pieces. I believe we picked up a Beowulf and a Tamer. And Anthony off to a good start as well. No rookie, but hey, he's got Kari set up and Boko as well. Again, the Kari is going to be very, very annoying to deal with. In this case, Sorry Joe is really good because it's going to be getting guaranteed memory against Digimon like Pokemon. And it's like, okay, if you have your Pokemon there, I'm getting the memory. And if you want to suicide your Pokemon so I don't get the memory, like I'm also okay with that, right? Because like, hey, that's a Pokemon and Pokemon must be dealt with. This play is pretty strong though, going into reheat with the Analog Boy. It's just so good because like you pay 1 to go into reheat, and then Analog is going to refund you that memory, let you hatch, and if you have the Koichi, you get the extra memory, and then reheat dies, and you get to play a Tamer. So Analog Boy really strong in this deck. He goes into a Cherubi, gets to pop both my rookies, and play a free memory Tamer. So honestly, really strong play there. Just completely taking over the board. Now we get some memory to work with here because of Sword Joe, but I have to start from scratch. That said, we can, you know, start building up again. And the thing about the blue hybrid deck is that we don't have to commit to the board because we can just commit Tamers, right? You see me play the Koji and then instantly go into the Magna. This is a pretty funny play, but I think it is the correct play. So it lets me deal with Cherubimon without destroying it. And sure, the Magna couldn't attack, but I could still do the play. And we get to get the memory back, so we actually end up passing the turn with the Davis, which was actually a fantastic play. And the cool thing about this is that, like, hey, now Magna's out on the board. Like I said, the purple decks, they don't currently have a great way to answer the Magna, and Magna's going to be swinging 2 every single turn, getting me extra memory from the Inheritables and the Koji, and bouncing his Digimon, right? So sometimes, or most of the time, you're playing the Magna, and it's like this late game finisher where you need like 1-2 swings, close the game out, right? But in a case like this, like, yes, it cost me a lot of resources. I spent 5 hybrids on my hand, but the Magna was actually doing so much, immediately answering his level 6, and then staying as a, you know, threat for the rest of the game. That's going to be able to still deal with his board and put a lot of pressure. So I actually think that Magna play from me was fantastic. And it's one of those things where, like, if you play the deck enough, you kind of just have to know when you go for these plays. You know, going for a Magna like that when it can't even attack is not always the correct play. But in this case, I think it definitely was. And I think just based on this Magna, we should be able to take the lead here. Swing with the Strabi first, precisely because of what was checked in security, could always be answered. And now Magna gets to go crazy. So look, swing, we get a memory, affect the Magna, we can bounce, restand, gain a memory again. And yes, like, I spent 5 hybrids to go into this Magna stack, but as soon as Magna gets to his thing, like, we're going to be getting those cards back. Gorokaku swing, last check, and then Blitz Omni for game. So I think that game was a great example of the power of MagnaGarurumon. And not just like his generic power that we should be used to by now, but, you know, the different ways that you can utilize him. I went from having no board, just play the Koji and the same turn going to Magna, bounces level 6, and then able to take the game from that. So pretty juicy play. I think Anthony's play was really good, actually. Like, going into a Cherubi early was fine because it cleared my board, and he got the 4-cost memory fixer for free, right? So his Cherubi was actually insane. But luckily enough, I had Magna with another Magna to bounce the Cherubi, so hey, it worked out. So now we are 1-1 going into a game 3. I'd say it's been a pretty close set at this point. Looks like he's still going back to the side deck. Maybe change 1 or 2 cards. Like I was saying, I'm still not exactly sure, you know, like what we should be siding. Like the Metal Garuru, it sounds good in paper, and I'm trying it out, but I don't know if it's actually worth it. If it's better to, like, you know, have that in over like a Pokemon or something else like that. But, you know, a lot of this is just trial and error, right? And honestly, that's one thing that I like about these locals is that you have these amazing players, and you know, it's just nice to have a great community where you can play and practice. And I usually play a bunch of different stuff. I just like trying stuff out. It's how I like to learn and play the game. And this week we're kind of try-harding, practicing for the DigiFest. Gonna see how it's gonna go. Okay, so here we're going to game 3. Pretty sure we're gonna be going first. These days everybody just likes going second, right? Definitely is the way to go. I mulligan, which is another thing we're also getting used to. The mulligan I do like a bit more than the side deck though. Okay, looks like we have a rookie though, so should be a pretty solid start. Strabi into either Pokemon or any Tamer is like ideal there. Check Davis and Beowulf and Kuma. So here the pick depends on basically what my hand doesn't have, right? But that also works for the opponent, right? Think of it that way. Like, when your opponent reveals Boku and they show you 5 cards, what they take can give you a good idea of, you know, what is in their hand. By the way, Anthony there gets the absolute worst Boku I've ever seen, where he doesn't have a purple rookie, then he checks like 2 Gasimons, a Lucemon, sending essentially all the rookies that his deck needs to the bottom of the deck. I'm okay with that. We're once again doing the rookie poke, and a lot of times I like going into the Kuma because, you know, we have a lot of Kojis because I play 4 Koji, so the BT7 Stravian Herbal is insane for me. We get the Upa draw, just continue the pressure there, and then instantly set up the Davis to ensure that we're going to have memory to work with. Now, usually you kind of expect the Kuma to die, but it didn't, and that is okay. So the Kuma got, you know, 1 chip damage, 1 card draw from the Upa, and the free tamer from the Koji. I would say he's definitely done his job. Anthony did have another Lucemon in hand, so at least he's going to have targets. And once again, the purple Kari just sitting there being the bane of my existence, which is funny because, as I said, I'm used to being the one with purple Kari against these guys, so good to see that everybody's realizing, you know, how good that purple Kari is. The Kaiser Leo survives the trade, you know, 6k, pretty strong. That's like the one downside about Kumamon, but hey, still a pretty good card. I specify there that we don't get the freeze because we are not Digivolving or Tommy. But because we are Digivolving or Koji, like, there's ups and downs to this, right? Because now we get the Inheritable, getting the extra memory. Like, my deck relies on this so much. So we get the bounce, get the memory, another check. He gets, you know, 1 for Kari. But at this point, like, you can see how our deck is working as intended, just being consistent, finding our pieces, getting chip damage, and setting up for that explosive play later on, whether it might be a Magna or not. I like that, like, when you have a Koji on the board, it could always be the Magna, but sometimes, like, you know, honestly, Beowulf is good enough. At this point, we're just taking the chip damage. I would say Pokemon has done his job. I don't want him to die to random Deathclaw or anything like that. I just want to guarantee the damage. And once again, send up Koji, which could be anything, right? So at this point, we're in a pretty good spot. Once again, the Kaiser Liam going to come out, keeping Anthony in play. He's down to 2 security though. We have Rookie, Davis, and the Tamer though, so he definitely should be a little bit scared, I would say. The Gassi exists to like be annoying. Now he's training off his Pokemon. Gassi survives hitting a Sword Joe, and you could tell he instantly is not happy about that. I think he wants enough cards in trash to like just play a Lucemon. I think it's at 9, and he wanted Gassi to die to go to 10 just to get that extra life back. A lot of like this hybrid decks, they don't play blockers, right? So it's kind of interesting how it works out. Going to the Lowy, just keeping on the chip damage, but hey, Lowy also survived. So all of a sudden, you know, maybe it's kind of bad for us. Passes over quite a bit of memory. I mean, he did end with 2 sources, so we don't get Sword Joe, meaning that without like a Hammer Spark, we're not able to just go swing and then go, you know, double hybrid for game. In this case, I assume I don't have Hammer Spark, or we would go for that play. So the question is like, okay, if we're not going for game, then what is the play? And this Cherubimon, he's a 3k beater, so we're gonna swing over his Gassi, strip the sources so we can draw off the Upamon. He does get to draw this card. There is that Lucemon that he was probably planning on. And at this point, my mindset is like, okay, you know what? Let's not go super aggro. Let's just control the board, because I could do that. We're in a position where we can actually just control the board. Using the Beowulf to bounce, get the memory back. Like, now he's got no Tamers, nothing on board. As long as I don't give him anything to work with, we should be set up for next turn. We also, like, my Cherubimon survived, right? It's just swung over the... So we did have a Hammer Spark, but maybe I had Hammer Spark, but not the double hybrid then. Pick up a Stravi, and this setup is really good. I used the Spark there to just guarantee put him to 1, make sure that he has like nothing to work with, right? He does play Gassimon as well. And we do try to lethal next turn. Call from Darkness, pretty good. If you don't know, it works like Blinding Ray. You don't have to destroy a Digimon, so you just get to add 2 Digimon to your hand for 1 memory, which is pretty good. Okay, so Stravi instantly swinging, hybrid for game, and that's gonna be the set. That was a good match. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Shout out to Anthony. See you guys later.